We've got a posts collection, and now let's create a new authors collection. In the Keystatic config, I will collapse the posts collection. I'll scroll down a little bit, and here we're going to create a new authors collection. The first thing I'll do is wrap everything in a collection function, which is going to provide a lot of TypeScript help and auto-completion. And the first thing we'll define is a label. So we'll call that authors. And you can see that TypeScript is expecting a few more things. We need at least a schema and a slug field. Let's set the slug field, which should be a unique reference for each entry. And yeah, we'll choose the name of the authors. And Keystatic will make sure to store a different slug if there's two authors with the same name. We're also going to define the path for this collection. And I want this in content/authors/star. Right now we have an issue with slug field because the field name doesn't exist. Let's tackle that next with our schema. This is where we're going to define what fields should be available in this collection for each entry. And to relieve TypeScript a little bit, let's start with the name. A name would typically be a text string, but here I will use the special slug field to auto-generate a slug from the name field. And this field has been imported here from the Keystatic core package. So the slug field takes a name, and here we'll set, as Copilot is suggesting, the label to be name. Right now, I have enough to make my collection valid, and TypeScript has stopped complaining. So let's save and have a look in our admin UI. You can see that now we have two collections, posts and authors. And right now we don't have any authors, but we can create the first entry. And this is what the slug field does. It actually creates two fields, a text input, which is bound to this slug field, which is unique and can be generated. So if I type my name, Simon, you can see that the slug is auto-generated from this text field. So let's save that and see what happens. You might expect a new Markdoc file being created in content authors/Simon.markdoc. But if we look at our file system, inside the authors directory, we have a YAML file. So what's going on? Well, it turns out that Keystatic by default will store things in YAML, but you can also configure it to store things in JSON or Markdoc. In the config file, if we look at the posts collection, you can see that we specify the format with the content field content. This is only valid if there is a content field, which is a document field, and this is going to turn on the Markdoc generation instead of YAML or JSON. For our authors collection, since it's just a text string, we don't really need to generate Markdoc file, although we can if we want. But maybe we'd want to store JSON file instead of YAML. So here in the format property, we could define the data to be either JSON or YAML, which is the default. If I change this to JSON, our admin UI cannot find the Simon entry because it's looking for JSON files now. And if I create a new author, let's call this one Jed, and hit save, you can probably guess what will happen in the file system. We now have a simon.yaml and a jed.json. And if I was to convert Simon to JSON and update this to be valid JSON, Keystatic should now find two files in the authors, and there it is. No matter if you use JSON, YAML, or Markdoc, you'll get the same content back when you read from the file system with the Keystatic Reader API, as we'll see in the future.